some current issues, and I'll sort of throw these out with the national popular vote to fix these things. One thing that came up in the 2000 election is the issue of deadlines. So there's this, we have the election in second Tuesday in November. I should know that. Second Tuesday in November. If it's Washington, we're still counting our votes till about November 28th or something. This is probably a statute. It's not in the Constitution. At some point, all the states have to have their elections certified. They have to have then, certify who gets the slate of electors. Those electors, then are sort of the notice of that officially goes back to Washington. And I think that date right now is December 12th or 13th or 15th. And this was potentially going to be a problem in Florida, and it's maybe one of the reasons why the Supreme Court felt they had to intervene, the U.S. Supreme Court, and what was going on in Florida is they were pushing that deadline. So if you end up with a constitutional crisis, if you've got states that aren't certifying their votes because of recounts or whatever, and the issue of recounts, we can maybe talk about in terms of would the popular vote make that better or worse? I think this is sort of the basic thing. I hope this got out. You need 270 electors to win under any of these proposals. But that deadline, I have it was you said December 15th, and then I'm skipping slides here. Hang on a second. That maybe isn't one of the bigger issues, but another issue that maybe cuts to the core of why some people like me from California maybe look at the Electoral College a bit oddly is the issue of apportionment. And this kind of cuts to the heart of the federalism and democracy points that I brought up earlier. That one electoral vote from Wyoming can be the equivalent of 165,000 people in Wyoming. One electoral vote in California is the equivalent of 600,000 something people. And that's a function of the fact that you get 2 extra electoral college votes by having 2 senators and 1 automatically by having at least 1 member of the House. I mean, the number of electors you get is your congressional delegation. And the Senate inflates the proportionate size of the delegation relative to the number of people in the smaller states. But again, that was part of the goal, was to protect the interests of states, not necessarily the interests of voters directly or a national popular majority. 20 smallest states have about 29 million people. They get 84 electoral college votes. They'd only get 44 if we apportioned the electors by population. This is just to rub salt in the wounds of people from California. But California, with 34 million people, gets 55 electoral college votes. The 20 smallest states with 28 million people, get way more than that. But again, for this whole issue, if we were having this debate 100 years ago versus today, a lot of people look at, well, who does that advantage then? What states are actually being protected? Which political party is potentially advantaged by these things? And at any moment in time, there's a different answer to that. Right now, I think some people would say that some of these smaller states are more likely to go towards the Republican Party. 50 years from now or 50 years ago, that structural advantage because of the apportionment of the Electoral College is probably going to be different. But it does definitely make differences at any moment in time in terms of advantaging one political party or the other, just based on where their voters happen to live. If you've got a lot of voters in some of these smaller states relative to the other party, they get a disproportionate weight in the Electoral College. Am I doing that time?
Yeah, 3 minutes.
Oh, good thing I asked. That's good. Another problem that we hear about, faithless electors. There is not necessarily a mechanism to compel electors who say they're going to vote for a Democrat if a Democrat's elected from their state to support the Democrats or a Republican. The parties are pretty good about picking those slates. The failure of elections, another potential problem, the failure of elections to produce a popular vote winner. And this is, if we preserve the Electoral College, we will still, under either of these proposals, the Electoral College or National Popular Vote, have the fact that you can win an electoral majority potentially. Like actually, this is the argument I'll let Will the if one of the biggest problems is the failure of elections to produce popular majorities, is this the one thing maybe that the National Popular Vote system would make? Really quick, the other 2 proposals that have been out in the last few years for reforms, one would be, Colorado had this on their ballot, proportional allocation of electors based on the popular vote. So if you get 60% of the vote, you get 6 out of 10 electors. You get 40% of the state vote, you get 4 out of 10 electors. California had a proposal where electors in their state would be awarded by each congressional district. Who wins the congressional district? So, you know, California's 55 electors don't always automatically go to the Democratic Party, who happens to be dominant there now. Neither of those got much traction, probably for a good thing, because the difference between those proposals and this one is, you know, you can think about if every state divided their votes up proportionally in 1992 or 1996, nobody's going to have a majority of the electors. You would increase the likelihood that you'd have elections thrown into the House of Representatives to be determined. So those were on the ballots in Colorado in 2004, California in 2007, and I think the weakness of those proposals is one reason why the advocates of direct popular vote have moved towards this national popular vote, and because you don't have to amend the Constitution to do this. So with that,